there anyone who would like to start us off with questions for our head coach?
DJ.
Thank you, Trent.
Pablo, just your post-game thoughts, watching everything, what you thought the key moments in the match were.
I don't know if there was a key moment. I mean, obviously, Sava's goal was huge, but there was a lot of great plays. I think the physicality of the group was one part that we wanted to improve from last game, being on the front foot. And the other part was the work, was the commitment to pressing after the ball. If the ball bypasses you, back pressing, and really dictating the game without the ball, so that when we get the ball, our quality can shine through. And that was the biggest difference. And I think that that was our game plan. And the way the guys executed was fantastic. And it was, these games are tough, but I think tonight we showed a great spirit, a great commitment, and then the quality, the quality was there. And when you do that, I think the second half we really took the game by the scruff of the neck, kind of dictated on both sides of the ball, and that comes from 55, 60 minutes of consistently working hard for the next guy, and that was on full display tonight.
I know you said earlier this week that you've trained penalties for a couple weeks, knowing what the format looked like. How did you decide which guys and the order of guys, and specifically a young guy like Diego Luna to take the fifth one, which can be a big one?
Again, I think when you want to see consistency and obviously scoring the PKs, that's the one thing we look for, and we've been training it now for a couple weeks, and those 5 guys have been consistently really good performers without pressure. And so, you want to put your best PK takers first, second, third. A lot of people say save it for fifth. That is more about, someone that wants to be at that point in that time. So when I said, Chicho and Dami, and then it was Sava, those are the 3 guys we definitely want to take PKs, because sometimes you wait till the 5th and it's not available. And then I asked Luna, do you want to go 4th or 5th? And he said, I want to go 5th. And again, this moment isn't about technique as much as it is about belief that you're going to score the goal. And so that, Diego stepped up as he has the last, 6 or 7 weeks, and scored the most clutch PK for this group. So again, it was and those are really difficult. You got to manage emotions, but again, I think it'd be remiss for me to even for me not to comment on Zac and his leadership from the back, his performance, and then obviously stopping the first PK, which takes a lot of pressure off of the kickers. So again, it's a team effort. Obviously, individuals are taking the kicks, but without Zac saving the first one, the pressure starts to mount a little bit.
You've often talked about playing direct this year. It did look like the wind was swirling. It was kind of unpredictable to play direct, but it also looked like it put Houston under a lot of pressure. Were you urging the guys to play at halftime to play direct and as the second half went along?
Yeah, I think one of the things that Houston do really well is they shrink their lines and they get really compact. And the way we were set up tonight with Ando playing more on the left side and Andres playing more on the right, again, that's always an option for us and something that we got to look for. And obviously during the game, they got to feel what the game's offering, right? And I think when Chicho comes onto the field, he is a handful to deal with when we play direct. And I think he kind of changed the momentum of the game. Obviously had a really good look on goal, but really it's his ability to hold the ball up, but also put the back line on their feet. And again, when you have a team that's as good as Houston, through the midfield, you don't want to lose balls down the middle of the field. You want to really you want to stretch their whole team. And I think we had a good balance tonight between playing underneath and stretching.
What about Zac's development and work behind the scenes has made him such a good stopper of penalty kicks? He's had a few these last couple of years.
Yeah. I had Zac when I was in Colorado, and he was great. I think he's got a good knack. He's really good with his feet, so he's always reading hips, and he'll probably be able to explain it better than I can. But he's very good when we were in Colorado, and obviously without PKs during regular season, you don't really, as far as shootouts are concerned, you don't get as many reps. But in these type of situations, he's thrived, and I think it's because he's really good at reading the approach and really good at reading whether their hips are open and closed, and does a really good job. And he's done a really good job in training as well. So I'm not surprised that he came up trumps today.
With game 3 in Houston, in less than 7 days, that's normally like a quote unquote short week, and with such an emotional high right now coming off of the penalty kick win, how much confidence do you think this gives your group, and how much do you want to maybe rest certain guys or maybe not, because it's game 3 kind of do or die type of situation?
Yeah, I think we'll see how everyone recovers. But for me, I think it's how do we take this game, both tactically, emotionally, physically, and do it again in a short amount of time. So I think rest is of the utmost importance. But I think the guys that played tonight were fantastic, and they executed really well. And so I think the more time you give Houston on the ball, the more difficult the further back they pin you, the more chances they get on goal. I think tonight we did a really good job of getting after the ball. Our pivots were monsters, Ojeda and Palacio, and being able to get pressure on Artur and Herrera. That now then when from that position a back pass triggered a press, and then as a group we move forward. So again, I think we have a good idea as to what to expect in game 3, and it's really about now just recovering the right way so that we have the energy and the physical capability of going there and attempting the same thing.
Pablo, thank you for extending the season. That is much appreciated.
I didn't do it. Those guys suffered. Those guys were awesome.
Tell them thanks for us. First half, a little bit of a self-inflicted wound, which seems to be a theme since at least the League's Cup for RSL. Going into halftime, down 1-0, what was the attitude going into the game? Were they confident? And then also the second half, Chicho comes in. It seems like things changed, and the whole stadium got behind you.
Yeah. I'll just start with, I think self-inflicted wounds. I think, again, in these high-pressure situations, again, players are humans, and they're going to make mistakes, or they're going to miss time tackles, and they're going to do these things. The message at halftime was, we're right here. We played a really good first half, and as the game wears on, we're going to get the better of the ball because of the amount of pressure that we're putting on them. And if we score one, they're going to start feeling the altitude. They're going to start hearing the fans. All of it starts to come on top of you. And so we're playing for that one moment. And, Sava was fantastic in that moment and came up huge for the group. But I think, again, in this league with so much parity, you live and die by your best players. They're that important to the group. And I think when Chicho comes into the game, not only does it bring belief to the stadium, but it's infectious within the group. And his ability to have 2 or 3 moments that could have changed the game, again, gets the fans involved, gets the players going. And so it's something that we haven't had for probably a month now with Chicho. But really excited about his fitness levels and his ability to get the runs he was making, his pressing ability gives me great confidence going into game 3.
And speaking of Chicho, how is he 100%? Are we looking for more minutes, 90 minutes next game?
Yeah, again, it's when you're out for a month, it's hard to mimic the type of the pace of play that these games are. They're chippier, they're more physical, they require a lot of work. I think we'll break down all the physical data, but from just the eye, he looked like he had gas in the tank when the game ended. So we'll sit and again, he's a part of the conversation as well. How do you feel? What do how much do you think you can give at that type of pace? Unfortunately, I don't think he'll be able to go 90, and that's always the trade-off, right? Because if he's not there for the, if we end up in a tie, he's our best penalty kick taker. And so it's always that balance of how you do that. But we'll have some conversations during the week. But the most important thing is that he came through without any issues with his hamstring, and he played extremely well.
Pablo, thank you for your time and congrats on the win today. The midfield for Houston has been very good, especially coming into the playoffs. Houston's been a very hot team. Coming into the game, did you focus on anything particular in the midfield to breaking them down offensively and defensively?
Yeah, I think when you saw game one, I think we were a bit on the back foot. We weren't getting good enough pressure on the center backs. Therefore, our pivots couldn't decide whether to cover, and they do a really good job putting Karski and Bassi in these half spaces. And again, if you don't have really good pressure from the front, stepping out to deal with Artur and Herrera is difficult because you always have one here. So one of the things we talked about is getting pressure on the ball better from the front, and Nelson and Ojeda doing a really good job of pressing from one of these wide players so that your body's covering the player and then stepping out to the ball, which then triggers one of our center backs to step into that half space, which is difficult to defend. We worked on that all week. And I think, again, the way I see offense and defense is it's a collective. If there's one chink in the armor, then none of it works. But I think for the majority of the game, we did a really good job denying, Herrera and Artur a lot of time on the ball, facing it, so where they're so rolling it. And they're still very good players, so they're going to get their moments. But as far as improvements from game one, I think that's the greatest improvement.
And then halftime was kind of touched on as well. This team's been very good in the second half throughout the season. What is it in intense game situations like these that you're doing at halftime? Is the entire time focused on talking to players, coaching them up, going through tactics?
Again, we look at today. We looked at 3 clips, right? 2 on defending and 1 on attacking, and we talk about. Again, these guys they're breathing hard when they're coming at halftime. Last thing they want is a whole slideshow but the moments that are really meaningful on both sides of the ball are really important for the group. And then at the end of it is just, again, it's a belief thing. It's about, like anyone else, how am I doing? You're doing great. We improve on these couple areas, we're going to do even better. And all we need is 1 goal. So again, it's part tactic, but it's also important to come out with the right type of mentality, especially here at home when teams come out. We want to step on the gas. We want to lay on the wood, and I think the guys did a really good job of that today.
Thanks, Pablo.
Yep.
Hey, Pablo, just one question for you. So I know you've talked about it a little bit, but what are your takeaways between game one and the game tonight going into next week's game, and how do you look to refine the tactics a little bit to ensure a result next week?
Well, I had one of their players come up, and he said that I'm making his life miserable, and I was like, how am I? And he says, well, it's because of the tactics you're employing. So, like I said earlier, I think the biggest thing is how do we take this performance, clean up some of the issues on both sides of the ball. But again, we want to continue to do the same thing. We want to be unpredictable whether we're going to stretch and go long and have that threat, but we also want Diego and Sava underneath to be able to get on the ball and dictate the game. And I think if we can look at the moments that we're dangerous and really focus on those areas offensively, I think we'll be in a position to where we're going to get our opportunities to score goals. And then defensively, we know these guys pretty well, and it's really and what makes Houston very difficult is their ability to combine with one touch. One touch in soccer destroys defenses, because if you're 1 second late, you're not going to be able to get pressure on the ball. And I think tonight we did a really good job in the middle of midfield, closing it up. Diego and Andres playing narrow, creating overloads on both sides of the ball, but really making it difficult for them to find these combinations centrally, which then leaves their wing back on one side and their outside back on another side, or their winger on one side and their outside back on another side to create the width. And those are the guys that we want on the ball. We don't want these guys on the ball.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have another mic?
Diego's walking up right now. Give him a minute.
Do you want to do them together?
Yeah.
Okay. Diego, he's gonna come.
Diego's coming. Okay.
Gracias.
He said he just like put it on.
Sí, sí, sí. Todo bueno.
Caleb, do you want to start?
Vamos a hacer inglés primero y luego español. Ok, si quiere preguntar en inglés, puede.
You guys have to give her time to translate for everybody in the room, though, okay? This is on English radio. That's the thing.
Jefferson, felicidades por el gol. De verdad, eso nos metió nuevamente en el partido. ¿Qué es lo que cambió en el segundo tiempo para el equipo según tú, como jugador?
Congratulations on the goal. What changed in the second half to kind of get the outcome that you did?
No, pienso realmente agradecerle a Dios por la victoria. La verdad, en el primer tiempo estaba un poco frustrado porque el equipo no estaba llegando mucho al arco. Pero también analizando en el partido, ya para comenzar el segundo tiempo pensé en bajar más a buscar la pelota y creo que el equipo mejoró un poco. También Luna también empezó a agarrar un poco más la pelota y creo que eso nos ayudó. También el ingreso de Chicho creo que hizo echar un poco al rival para atrás y bueno, eso nos ayudó y así fue que empezamos a entrar en el partido.
First of all, very thankful to God for the win. The truth is, the first half, we were a little bit frustrated, but analyzing the game going into the second half, I wanted to look for the ball more, and I think that's what we did. The team improved. I also think the return of Chicho gave us a little bit of a boost and helped us out there.
Muy pocas veces se enfrentan en un torneo a un equipo en 5 ocasiones. ¿Tú crees que ahora enfrentar por quinta vez a Houston puede ayudar en algo?
It's very rare when you face a team 5 times in a year. Do you think now that it is as many times, can that be a little bit of a help?
Sí, por supuesto va a ser un partido muy difícil como lo ha sido todos los partidos que hemos enfrentado a Houston. Tienen grandes jugadores, pero sí nos ayuda por supuesto a conocer un poco más los jugadores. Va a ser un partido allá de mucho desgaste. Nosotros tenemos que ir con la misma energía, con las mismas ganas que tuvimos en el segundo tiempo y bueno, esperemos confiando en Dios que todo nos salga bien y podamos avanzar, que es lo más importante.
Yes, I think obviously it's a very difficult game. They have great players, but it does help, the players a little bit more, and it's an overall better game. We know we need to go out there with intense energy, and hopefully moving forward, we're able to advance.
Just the last one from me, just for Diego. How would a kid from 20, just say kid, 20 years old, take the time to a penalty kick in this decision day? How do you take that?
I think I go into it with the confidence and the right mentality that I've been in the last couple games. So I think it's just the confidence in going up there, knowing what you're going to do. And I walked up to Zac right there when he gave me the ball, and I said, let's go to Houston. So I think it was just having confidence and just putting it away.
Diego, Pablo said that he asked you if you wanted to shoot 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
And you said 5th.
Yeah.
Why?
For a moment exactly like that. I think that I already planned that in my head. And, yeah, I literally planned that in my head, and that's the vision that I saw. And, yeah.
Jefferson, para un equipo que no recibió ningún penal a favor durante toda la temporada, ¿qué tal fue la preparación para ustedes? Porque si bien hoy anotaron cada uno de esos penales, ¿qué tal fue la preparación para estar al 100% mentalmente para este momento?
For a team that has not had any PK calls all season, how did you and the team prepare in order to get the result tonight as everyone made their PK shots?
Sí, pienso que el equipo está preparado. Siempre después de los entrenamientos, todos los jugadores pateaban un penalti, 2 penaltis. Y en los entrenos se veía muy bien, todos estaban pateando muy bien y hoy se reflejó en el partido. Creo que todos estaban con muy buena confianza. Tanto los que patearon como los que no patearon también iban a tener la confianza de patear porque todos patean muy bien y bueno, lo importante fue que obtuvimos esa confianza para patear los penaltis.
I think we were all very well prepared in training. It's something we practice every day. Penalties, everybody looked good, and obviously that came out towards the game. We had all the confidence in the world. Whether you were stepping on that line or not, we were confident.
Chicho wasn't with you guys in the last game in Houston, but he was there tonight. What does he bring that changes the game? This is for both of you guys. Either one can answer.
Regreso de Chicho, sí. Es importante para nosotros. Chicho es un jugador importante para nosotros. Creo que el rival, viendo a Chicho en el campo, creo que piensa diferente. Y bueno, eso nos ayudó cuando ingresó en el partido. Por supuesto nos hizo falta ya en Houston, pero sabemos que tenemos también grandes jugadores. Tenemos a Dami, tenemos a Julio, tenemos a Rubio, tenemos delanteros también con que escoger cuando Chicho no esté. Pero hoy fue importante para nosotros también, nos ayudó en el ingreso.
Of course, he brings a lot to the team as a player. He's very important to us. I think him on the field is just a different mentality, and it helped us a lot. His return definitely helped. We needed him in Houston, but of course, we have other forwards that help, like Anderson and Rubio. We're just happy he's back.
Any thoughts on that?
No, I think he said it all. I think a big player coming into our game helps us and helps the team, helps everyone individually. When you have a player like Chicho stepping on, it boosts everybody up and gets us pumped up more like that. But like you said, we have players all around. So, of course, there's good players, and whoever steps up will step up.
And then what's it going to take on Saturday? Winner take all. Could be the last game. What do you guys have to do to get that win?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of motivation going in there, and I think having those fans out there like that today is big motivation to, hosting the next game if we go through. So I think that's the most motivation we have right there, and if that's not motivating us, I don't know what is, So I think going out there to Houston and doing that same thing and putting that energy in and the work hard, I think that's going to get us a result.
Diego, how much confidence does it give the rest of you guys when Zac makes that first save?
Yeah, it's huge. When you have your keeper making the first save of the game and in the PK shootout, it gives everybody just a boost of confidence and happiness and joy. So I think it's all mentality and it's all mental. So I think when something like that happens, everybody's just like let's go. It's our time.
Hey, Diego, just a question for you about halftime. So obviously going into halftime down 1-0, what's the mentality from the players, and how do you guys refocus to get the result at the end of the day?
Yeah, unfortunate PK. We got let down, but I think we were pressing well, and I think they were getting scared. So I think it was just the same work rate and having that dog in us that came out in the second half, and of course having Chicho come in had an effect. And I think it was just continue to work hard, and things will come for us.
And you've shown a lot of chemistry on the field with a lot of different players. Is that something that you've done in training? Does that happen on the field more so? How does that come to you?
I think that's just me showcasing myself, and everybody is getting to know the player I am and getting to know what I'm looking for, and of course me looking for the strengths of our teammates, and that's just how training is, and that's what training is for. So I think it's just natural.
And lastly, how do you keep that confidence going and keep your mentality right, especially going into this third game?
Yeah, like I said, I think all the motivation is there, right? And I think with motivation comes confidence. When you have that motivation behind you, you're just going to build confidence, and you got to go in there with a happy mentality and enjoy it. We're all enjoy this game and do it for our work. So I think it's all about just grinding and enjoying it.
Thank you. Jefferson, how much did the crowd play into the game tonight, especially helping you, feel energized to be able to score the first goal of the game and then step up to have the confidence to take your penalty?
Sí, fue muy importante para nosotros que la afición estuvo metida en todo el partido, no solo en los penaltis, y eso va a ser muy importante si llegamos a avanzar en el siguiente partido. Los fans van a ser muy importantes para nosotros, ellos son como nuestro jugador 12, y bueno, esperemos. Hoy fueron muy especial para nosotros y espero y nos sigan apoyando de esta forma, porque así el equipo siempre va a mantenerse motivado, y cuando el equipo esté en resultado adverso, eso nos ayuda a levantarnos.
They're very important to us. The fans were involved the entire game, not just during penalties, and that's so important. If we do make it and we advance, they will be a big part of us. They're like our 12th player, and today they were so special, and they kept supporting us and continue to support.
Muchas gracias. Diego, I remember when you first came here, one of the things you said is the reason you chose to come to Real Salt Lake is because the team had a plan for you, and you were most interested in that plan. Have you started to see that plan come to full fruition through the past few games? And I know you have a great relationship with Pablo. How has that kind of helped you feel more comfortable with this team?
Yeah, I think it all just comes down to my individual, performance and the way I've been playing and kind of showcasing myself, and that leads to doors opening. That leads to many different opportunities. So all I'm focused on is right now is playing at this team, this moment right now, and getting these results. And that's all I'm focused on. So whatever doors open in the near future, whatever happens, what happens. But I think right now all I'm focused on is playing for RSL, and I'm enjoying it.
Thanks, Diego.
Yeah.
Anyone on Zoom, any questions for Diego or Sava? Okay, great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Gracias.
Hey, Zach.
Hi.
Great game today.
Thank you.
Great saves. Pablo said something about you watching hips. What are you looking for in a hip, and do you do it outside of the game?
Yeah, there's a lot of tells, but honestly, in that moment, I just kind of was thinking, just save it. I don't know what I wasn't really thinking. It's funny watching a lot of the PKs over the years. My wife is always like, just stay in the middle. And so I give a lot of credit to her for that idea. After missing the first one, I thought there was a good chance he might, try to just make me dive, and thankfully I stood tall.
Zach, thank you for your time. Congrats on the win. The last two penalties, including the one in play tonight, you saved. Unfortunately, off the rebound they were put in. Just guessing the right way on several penalties as well tonight. Where does that confidence come from, and do you feel like right now at this point it's at an all-time high?
Yeah, I feel the PK thing. Well, first of all, it's one of the worst rules in soccer that you can save a PK and the guy who saved the PK gets another free chance. I wish that didn't belong because I'd have a lot more saves and a lot less goals against. But yeah, I think the last few weeks, last few games, I've really found some new confidence and just kind of been taking that into every training, trying to instill that in the rest of the group and, give belief to the rest of the guys that we can, make a run in this playoffs.
You talked a little bit about the tells that some of the players have when they're taking their penalties. I also noticed before the penalties you had maybe a little bit of a cheat sheet kind of looking over it. How much time throughout these last few weeks have you gone through tape of guys taking penalties, and how much does kind of that cheat sheet play into helping you save these penalties?
Yeah, our goalkeeper coach Nacho does a great job of preparing a video just showing all of their PKs. I think Bossy had at least 8 or 9 this year, plus I think they went into a PK shootout in the Leagues Cup. So there's plenty of video, and obviously that doesn't do it all, but it just gives me a little bit of confidence on knowing where they might go, and hopefully give me a little bit of an edge.
Zach, given the fact that you did save that one in the first half, even though they score on the rebound then, but does that give you more confidence going into a situation where just saving 1 out of 5 can be a big deal?
Yeah, I think it gave me a lot of confidence going into the shootout. I just felt like I was standing a little bit taller, chest was a little bit more out, and I think they might have felt that a little bit. And so, yeah, it certainly gave me a lot more confidence going into the shootout.
Can you describe to those of us who've never been down that what it's like to be like the keeper in front of a home crowd and make that save, and what that feeling is like, what that noise is like inside a home stadium?
Well, to be honest, I kind of went into a zone where I didn't really hear or see anything. Even after Diego scored, I don't even think I really celebrated because I was just so locked in. I didn't even realize that was the winning PK. So I try to just go to a zone that gives me the best chance to help the team win, and that's kind of what I did tonight.
You faced Houston 5 times. This will be a 6th meeting now. Do you feel like you're really locked in on what they want to do and how they want to do in a way you really can't be in most games?
Yeah, I think obviously we've got a really good idea of their game plan, but they've got a lot of really good players out there, a really good system, a lot of good guys on the ball that make it very difficult no matter, what you game plan for. So I think it's more about being in tune with the whole game, being locked in on, their different, bigger players. And I thought tonight we did a really good job of just, stopping a lot of their, easy 1-2s that we didn't deal well with in the first game.
First of all, I want to know what your favorite scene from Dirty Dancing is. And secondly, more seriously on the game, Diego said that he kind of came up to you during a time and said, let's go to Houston. I'm curious just a little bit more about that exchange and what kind of confidence you felt from him in that moment, considering everything that happened before in the other PK scenarios.
No one puts baby in the corner. But no, Diego said that to me afterwards. I didn't hear a word he said. Like I said, I think I was just locked in. I read a Twitter thread after, I think, the Women's World Cup about the confidence of the goalkeeper giving the ball to the shooter and giving them encouragement, that last bit of positive encouragement. And I kind of brought that into tonight for the first time, and I was just trying to give him a vote of confidence, and clearly he stepped up to the plate.
And what do you think, you talked a little bit about sort of like tells and reading hips and things like that, but like over the course of your career and your development as a goalkeeper, what do you think it's been that has specifically helped you make penalty saves? That's like a pretty difficult thing. Not difficult, I shouldn't say, but
very difficult.
So it's a difficult thing for goalkeepers to do.
Yeah, like I said, just having a little bit more confidence, that microsecond of patience, especially with the way guys take penalties, the slow walk-ups, waiting for the goalkeeper to move. And the longer that I can stay there, I think it puts a little bit of that extra doubt in their mind. And, hopefully we don't have to go penalties again and we can win outright. But, yeah, I like to say that I feel comfortable in those situations.
Zac, 6th game against Houston. It seems like every game this season has gotten progressively a little more physical, a little more chippy. Is this developing into kind of a rivalry? How does that look? And what do you expect in the next game?
Well, probably even more physical, to be honest. Like I said, they're a very talented group, not only with the ball, but they've got a lot of players who manage games, who've played in big games. Obviously, Hector, their leader, does a great job of setting the tone for them. And I think, obviously, them winning the U.S. Open Cup final was big for their confidence and showed them a way of how to play in big games. And, we're learning how to do that. And tonight was a good learning sum for us.
Any questions in the room in Spanish? Anyone on Zoom? Questions for Zac? Alrighty. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Zac. Appreciate it.